Hello students, so again we are going to continue with the chapter number 12, object oriented programming. In last lecture we have seen how to create class, how to create object, how to call the methods. Then we have seen constructor and destructor. So with the help of double underscore init underscore we create the constructor, and with the help of double underscore del underscore we create the destructor. So again we are going to continue with the object oriented programming. The topic is instance as argument. So instance means, now just see the program. We have created one class, that is class st colon. In this st class we are having one constructor. So whenever we are writing def, then double underscore init underscore, that is nothing but the constructor. And this particular constructor is a parameterized constructor because it is having self is a by default or we can say that the common parameter, but other than self we have used n also. And after that, self dot n1. What is meaning of this sentence, self dot n1? As we have seen in C programming or C++ programming, we are having two types of variable, that is global and local variable. Okay, so whenever any variable which is present inside the parenthesis, that is called as local variable. So now in this example, n is nothing but the local variable, and the first statement of the constructor which we have written, that is self dot n1. So self dot n1 is the global variable, because now with the n1 we have used one keyword, that is self. So self indicates the current class member, so it is nothing but the global variable. And during the printing we have just calculated self n1, self dot n1 into self dot n1, means we are just simply multiplying the n1 with the n1. So while multiplication we are using self keyword, so that is called as instance. Okay, so after outside of the class s equal to st into round bracket 4, means st into round bracket 4, this is the way we have created the object. And now, as I have previously told you, that this particular st class is having a constructor which is parameterized one, so we need to provide one parameter. So 4 is nothing but the value which is stored inside the n variable of the constructor, and then it will be assigned to n1 because of the statement self dot n1 equal to n. And the final answer, that is print, with the help of print statement, that answer will be displayed. Then the next topic is instance as return value. Again we are having the same thing, but in the program we have not used the constructor. There is one class st which is having one function add, and this particular add function is a parameterized function which contains two parameters, a comma b. Then self dot b equal to b, means we have stored the value of b variable, okay, inside the global b variable. So while returning, what we are doing self dot a plus self dot b. So then we have created object of st class, and with the help of that object, that is v equal to st, so v is nothing but the object of st class. And as we all know that whenever we want to call the method, we have to make use of object. So on the second line we have written y equal to v dot add. So with the help of object we are calling the class st method add, and that is parameterized method. This is the reason why we have passed two values, 3, 4. And then print y. So basically y equal to v dot add into round bracket 3, 4. Because of this particular sentence, the calculation which took place inside the add method, that will be stored, or that will be written by the add method and stored inside the y variable. So whenever we are printing the y, it's actually printing the addition. Then the next program, that is program to use instances as a return values using underscore init underscore. So again we are having same class st which contains one constructor, and that particular constructor is having two variables, two parameters, name and age. So name and age, these are the local variables, and inside the definition of the constructor we have used self dot name. So now self dot name is a global variable. So by writing self dot name equal to name and self dot age equal to age, we are actually trying to store the local variable value inside the global variable. After that, after completion of a class, what we did, we have created the object of class st as st1 equal to st into round bracket. First we need to provide the name, so that should be the string literal. So within a double quotes we have provided the first parameter, and the second parameter is age. So that is nothing but the number. So second parameter we have passed as a 5, and then we have printed the name and age by using the object of a class by writing print into round bracket st1.name and st1.age. Similarly, we have created one more object, and again we are doing the same thing. So here what we are doing, we are using the instances, means till the programs whatever we have learned, in that we have created only single object, but now in this program we have created two objects of the same class to call the constructor. Then as in C++, in object oriented programming we have learned the inheritance. So basically what is use of inheritance? Because of inheritance, object of one class can access the values, data, properties, methods of other class. So now the same definition we are having here also, but the way of doing the inheritance, performing the inheritance is different as compared to other languages in Python. So just see the syntax. As we all know that inheritance means we should have one parent class and one child class. So now in this example, class, base class. So base class is nothing but the parent class which is having some code. After that there is one class, that is derived class, who wants to inherit the class. So in C++ programming what we were doing, we are normally writing class, derived class, colon, public, base class. Like that means we are making use of colon, and then the scope we need to provide public, private, protected, and then we write the name of the class. But in Python, whenever you want to derive a specific class, after the declaration of derived class, within the parenthesis just write down the base class which you want to inherit, and then write down the colon, and now derived class will contain its own content. And this particular inheritance in the Python, which is totally similar to object oriented programming in C, that is, once you have created all the classes with the implementing inheritance, at the end which class object we will create? So definitely the derived class object we will create. So now there is first type of inheritance, that is single inheritance. So here class st is the base class which contains one method def s1, and which printed the statement which is printing the statement as base class. Similarly, we are having one more class st1 which is derived class who wants to inherit st class. So just see the declaration of class st1. What we have written, class st1 into round bracket st. The meaning of this particular line is st1 is a derived class who is inheriting st class. So now st class will become main class, or we can say that parent class. And again st1 class is again having its own definition, in which it is having s2 method which is printing the statement as derived class. So now after writing or after creating all the classes, we will create the object. And as I told you previously, we will create the object of derived class. So we will create the object of st1, and with the help of object of st1 class we will call both the methods, that is parent class method as well as derived class method. So t equal to st1, t is nothing but the object of st1 class, and with the help of this object we are calling t1.s1, and s1 is the method of parent class, and then we have called t.s2. So s2 is a method of derived class. So at the end what output you will get, base class and then derived class. So it is almost similar to the object oriented programming in C++. Then second type of inheritance is multiple inheritance. Multiple inheritance means in case of multiple inheritance we are having multiple parents and one child. So like that, just see the syntax, base class 1, base class 2, these are the two parent class, and derived class wants to inherit both the class. So again the procedure is same. After declaration of derived class, within the round bracket whatever number of class you want to inherit, just provide the name of that class. So now we want to inherit base class 1, base class 2. So after creation of derived class, that is class derived class into round bracket, what we have written, base class 1 comma base class 2. So this is multiple inheritance. So this is one simple example for the multiple inheritance. st1 is the first class which contains num1 method. st2 is the second class which contains num2 method. Then we have created st class which inherits st1 as well as st2, and inside the derived class we are having one more method, that is add1. Okay, so now in this program, actually in the first parent class st1, we have declared one variable n1, and we have initialized the value of that particular variable to 7. Similarly, in case of class st2 also, we have declared one variable n2, which is initialized to 5. And in class st, we are going to add the n1, which is a part of st1 class, and n2, which is a part of st2 class. So that is a definition which comes under add1 method of st class. We have simply written self.n1 plus self.n2, means at the end what is going to happen, 7 plus 5 is going to get performed. So we will get the answer 12 at the end. So now we will create the object of the derived class, and which one is the derived class? St. So we have created s equal to st, that is object of st class, and with the help of st class object, now first we will call all the methods of st1 and st2, which are the parent class. So that statement we have written s dot num1, which is a method of st1 class. Then we have called s dot num2, which is a method of st2 class. And then at the end we have printed the value of s dot add1. So whatever value which we have initialized inside the num1 num2 method, that will be accessed by the derived class st, and its addition will be performed, and then it will be displayed. So you will get the output as num1 colon 7 num1. Now actually there is a printing mistake, it should be num2 colon 5, and then addition will get displayed. Then we are having super keyword. Super keyword means basically whenever we are having the methods, those are having same name. Means in base class also we are having same method, in derived class also we are having same method. So in C++ also we are having this particular concept. So in that situation we make use of virtual function. But now here we don't have such a concept. In place of that we are having super keyword. So now from the example actually it will clear to you. We are having parent class st, which contains the method s1. Then we are having derived class s, which inherits the class t, and that particular class is again contains s1 method. So now when we create the object, definitely as we have learned in C++, only the derived class method will get called. If we are writing only this much program without super keyword, and if we are creating the object of derived class and calling the s1 method, so definitely the derived class method will get called. So now if you want to call both the methods, even though they are having same name in base as well as derived class, then we are making use of super. So now in the definition of s1 method of s class, that is derived class, what we have written, we have printed just one statement as derived class, and then we have make use of super keyword. So super parenthesis dot s1 and again parenthesis. So when we call the method with the help of derived class object, that is v equal to s and v dot s1, then the first statement which is inside the s1 will get called, that is derived class. And because of we have written super dot s1, now this particular line will call the s1 method which is present in the super class. Super class means parent class, and this is the reason why you got the output as derived class, and after that base class is called. So I hope it is clear to you. It's almost similar to the concept of virtual function. Whenever we want to override a method, we declare a base class function as a virtual one. Okay, then and then only with the help of pointer we can call both the methods of base class as well as derived class. So same thing is here, but actually it's very easily this particular problem is solved in Python as compared to other programming languages. Then the next concept is method overriding. As we all know, that means the same example, actually this particular program should be first and then the super keyword should be there, because if we are having, means just see the example, class T is having show method, class S, which is a derived class, that is again having show method. So when we create the object of derived class like S, and when we call the show method through that object, then only derived class print statement or derived class show method will get called. So that is called as method overriding. So in this case what happened, actually base class show is called, but its answer is override with the derived class show method. So if you want to, as in the program what they have given, they have created the object of S class first, and then they call the show method, because of which the derived class method will get called. And again they have created the object of class T also. So basically then there is no use of having inheritance concept, because we are creating object of both the classes. So this is the reason why to solve this problem we can have one option, that is super keyword, which we have just now seen. So I hope it is clear to you, that is method overriding. When we call that in the program there is a method overriding when the base as well as derived class are having same method. Then there is next concept, that is data encapsulation. Data encapsulation means, as in case of any object oriented programming language, we are having class. So whatever information means the variables which we want to declare, that are declared inside the class. And whenever we want to take the values from the of that particular variable from the user, or whenever we want to display the variable, or whenever we want to perform the operations on that specific variable, then we are creating the methods. So everything, that is variables and methods, are written inside the class, means they are enclosed within the class. So that concept is called as data encapsulation, that is everything is wrapped in a single class. And whenever we want to call the data, or whenever we want to call the methods of that particular class, we simply create the object. So that concept is called as data encapsulation. Okay, and because of this what happened, the information is not easily available to the outside world, as it is encapsulated in a single class or single cover. So anybody wants to use the information of a specific class, that particular person should know the name of the class and then create the classes, then create the object of that particular class. So they have given the same example, that is we are having class st, which is having one constructor which contains one method show, and again the same class is having one private method. Whenever we are using double underscore in front of the or before the name of the method, then that particular method is nothing but the private method. So as we all know that even though we have created the object of st class, we will not be able to call private methods. So normally we should keep all the methods as public. So public means don't use double underscore before name of any method. So that example they have given. So we have created the object, so constructor content will get called, and after that we are having show method we have called, and when we are trying to call the private show one method, then we will get error message, because private methods are not accessible outside of the class. So why we are having this encapsulation concept? Because of encapsulation we can secure our data from the outside world. Means if we want some methods or some variables should not be accessible by the outsider, so in that situation we will simply make that particular variable as a private one, and then we will have that variables or method inside the class, so that the data will be secure at that place. So this is data encapsulation. Then next topic is data hiding. Data hiding means, as the name suggests, hiding. We are showing, or we are not showing actually something or important data to the outside world. So that is called as data hiding. So now in this example, so data hiding means whenever we are having or we are declaring any variable as a private one. So why we are declaring that variable as a private one? Because we don't want to disclose its value or its information. So we simply make that particular variable as a private one. So that is called as data hiding. So whenever we are using double underscore before any variable name or before any method name, means we are hiding that particular information, so that outside world nobody can access to it. So the same thing they have given. Just see the program. In class st we are having p variable, and before that variable what we are having, double underscore, means it is a private variable. Then we have created one show method in which we have incremented this value of private variable by 1, and then we are printing. So in first case what we have created, object of st class, and then we call v dot show, because of which 1 will get displayed. After that, second time when we call that particular method, then value of p will be incremented, because we have written the code which is related to increment. Every time we are incrementing the value of p, and we have initialized the value of p to 0. So now this is private variable, but the method is public, and this is the reason why it's get incremented. So that is called as data hiding. And if you trying to display the p value, then it will give you error. Now in previous statement we have simply called the show method. So this is the reason why the content which is inside the show method, that got executed. Okay, you cannot access private member outside. Means suppose in this program if you put double underscore before show method, then also you will get the error message, because private thing you cannot call outside of the class. So this concept is data hiding, that is making the variables as a private, that is called as data hiding. Then the next thing is static methods. Static methods in C++ we have seen, that is we are making use of static keyword. So if we are having static keyword in front of any variable name, then that variable will be static variable. Like that, if we are writing static keyword in front of method, then that will be called as static method. So now here in case of static methods in Python, we are having static methods only. We don't have the concept of static variables. We have only concept of static method. So normally, as you all know, that when we create a class, that particular class should contain some methods, and all the method should have at least one parameter, that is self. So if you are not making use of that self keyword as a parameter, then that particular method will be called as static method. Means from the example it will be clear to you. We have created class st, and in that we are having first method, that is sdemo, which is not having self as a parameter. We have not written self inside the parenthesis of sdemo method. Okay, so if whenever we are not providing self as a parameter, then that particular method will be called as a static method. And in the second method, that is show method, we have provided the self parameter. So show is not the static method, that will be the public, or we can say that non-static method. Okay, so I hope it is clear to you. And next thing is, now we have seen how to declare the static method, that is we should not provide self keyword as a parameter. Now we will see how to call the static method. So just see the way how we call the static method, that is first create the object of st class. So s is the name of the object of st class. Then we have called s.show. So show is a non-static method. So with the help of object only it is going to get called. And after that, sdemo is a static method. So how they call the static method? By writing name of the class. They have not written object of a class to call the static methods. How we will call the static method? Simply write down the name of the class, then put dot operator, and after dot operator just write down the method name. So I hope it is clear to you how to create the static methods and how to call the static methods. We don't need object. With the help of only class name also we can call the static method. And now the next concept is polymorphism. Polymorphism means one thing in many form. Like in C++ we have seen method overloading, method overriding. So these were the examples of polymorphism. Again same thing we have done here. The program actually elaborating the concept, demonstrating the concept of function overloading only. That is, we have created def show method which is having one parameter s, and that is actually a static method, because here we are not having the self keyword, and inside this method we are simply printing the value. So now you will say that how it is called as a overloading, because it is not having different parameters. As we all know that we are not making use of variables, that is data types, in case of polymorphism. So there is no way to tell the interpreter that this is float variable or this is static variable. So whenever we want to use any type of variable, that can be possible in case of Python. So now just see the calling portion, that is after definition we are having show into round bracket 11. So now we have used the show method in which we have passed the integer parameter. Next again we are having show method, in which within a double quotes we have passed the name Vedu. So double quotes means we have provided the string literals. Then again I have called the show method, which contains 1.2, so that is floating or decimal value. So means same method we are providing different value. So that is nothing but overriding only. So polymorphism is nothing but the method overriding. So you can make use of this particular program. So this much is there in your object oriented programming. So this content is there in object oriented programming of your chapter number 12. So now we have completed the chapter number 12. So see you in the next lecture. Thank you very much. Stay home, stay safe.